Hello, everybody. We are here. This is an exciting time. And things have changed a little bit from last Saturday to today. It's just incredible how the human emotions change. And we're going to dig into that. So basically, there's the countdown alert. 24 hours to go to the Bitcoin halving. A look at some crazy numbers about how $28 million, which is nothing, can buy the entire Bitcoin supply that's produced every day. We'll talk about 12 years of history. We'll talk about the 63K shorts that are on the menu right now. How fear is out, FOMO is in. What else we got going on? Let me see. Yes, we have the chat live. Thank you as well. Thank you to the mods in chat. And then I always talked about go bags, and now the IMF talks about how go bags are a thing. We'll talk about the flippening of Grayscale, a little bit of ETFs, and a little bit of a recap as well around what the halving means and why it's actually an exciting time. So let's go. Oh, I lost my key. Oh, gotta do this manually. Sorry about that. It's in the other place. So let's go and talk about, Patreon first. Thank you, team, for putting this in. Lawrence Narayan says, life-changing is what you bring to the table. Let's go, Patreon and Discourse fam. Thank you so much for being there. And a Bitcoin Only playlist will be here. And we have 1 day to go. 1 day, 7 hours to be precise, till the Bitcoin halving. And we'll break that down real quick, what that actually means again, a refresher, because I keep getting questions. So the simple way to think about it is, the demand has surged for Bitcoin since October last year. We are 7 months into that crazy demand surge. Much of it was front-running ETFs. Then the ETFs have been crazy. We'll also talk more about that later, of what's actually happened over the past 67 trading days. We'll talk about the available supply has dwindled to about 1.7 million, under 2 million, due to significant buying from ETFs. And at this rate, only a year's worth of demand left, or 8 months of demand is left to exhaust the supply. And the reward for miners will fall from 6.25 to 3.125 Bitcoin. I will be doing that miner update later today. Stay tuned for that. And the miners are on fire today too. Now, let's talk about this from HODL 15. I thought this was a very interesting stat. In 2 days, the Bitcoin supply drops to 450 a day. At the current price, that can all be bought for $28 million. That's 280,000 people buying $100 worth of Bitcoin. And that is 0.00035 of the Earth's population. And believe me, when we get to the IMF stuff later, you will see that people need it. Not for reasons you may expect as well. Different reasons. So let's do a quick refresher as well on the Bitcoin ownership reminder, how much there is and what's going to happen in the very near future. Check this out. So first of all, individuals own 12 million, approximately 57% of the supply. Inactive, aka lost, call it 3.7 million, 4 million. Got the Satoshi bag, 1.104 million. Those two in the red box are most probably never going to see the light of day again. So that's why I say there'll never be more than 14 million, because people still continue to lose their Bitcoin on a daily basis. And as Satoshi said, that's a gift to society. It makes the whole thing more scarce. Now, funds and ETFs, 800,000 Bitcoin. It's about 830,000 Bitcoin. That's going up. All right. Businesses, treasuries, exactly 800,000 as well. That's going up. Miners are trying to hodl their best. We'll talk about that later. Governments, who cares? And to be mined, 1.4 million left to be mined over the next 120 years, give or take 3 years. And what's important is individuals are stacking, funds and ETFs are stacking, businesses are stacking. But there's not a lot to go around anymore, ladies and gentlemen. That's why this is exciting. So, speaking of history, shout out to Rizzo. He does this beautiful Bitcoin history piece every single day. And this is a very, very cool little bit of history too. So let's rewind the clock. This is Tour de Master. And on November 28th, 2012, basically the supply of new Bitcoins has decreased sharply, which would lead to higher prices. At the time, Bitcoin was at $12. It's gone up 533,000% since then. And again, I love patterns and numbers. 12 years ago, Bitcoin was at $12. Now it's at real time 63,900, and today is a $2,600 day. Not bad. So much fear yesterday. Today it's like, oh no, that may have been the bottom. Every freak out. It's hilarious. Human nature. It's madness. And what's happening as well is this. I shared this early this morning. The 63K shorts are now on the menu. That's before we got up to 64,000. In fact, the daily high today is $64,266. So obviously, we know how the markets work. The manipulators hunt the longs by going down. Now they hunt the shorts by going up. All you need to do is keep your seatbelt on, ladies and gentlemen. Another view of exactly what this looks like. Now, 64.5, we came within $200 of that level. There are a bunch of 100x leverage shorts at that level, and they will have to cover, everybody. They will have to cover. I don't know if they have to cover today or tomorrow or over the weekend, but it's got to happen. We'll talk more about some fun stuff about the weekend as well coming up in a second. But here, I did tweet this morning too, and how fear is gone, and the next human emotion in the box is FOMO. Everybody, as I always say, keep your emotions in check. Do not bring them to the investing table. Use process and rationale to make decisions, never emotions. So let's talk about this too. Breaking. This is a super interesting observation, which I was thinking about, but didn't think about writing down, from Ada. This is the last day the ETFs can buy before the halving. Tomorrow with the T+1, they will have to purchase on Monday or over the weekend. And we know 24 hours from now it's going to have. What will happen to the price? The question is, do you want to be on the train or hope for a lower price? And I shared this chart a few days ago that during the last halving, we only had a 0.4% dip from the halving date onwards. It was up only for 330 days, and the gain was 650% straight up. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this time, because that was COVIDians, and that was also driven by a lot of money printing and all that type of stuff. So either way, I wonder, will the ETFs kick back in today? And if they don't, who cares? Mr. 100 bought 900 Bitcoin yesterday. That is exactly double the supply available or issued starting tomorrow. Think about that. Craziness. Very exciting. Now, the last 67 days have been rained on by Grayscale. Now, but the opposite of, not golden, that probably came out wrong. Excuse that, delete that last comment. The opposite of, or I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying. I just riff wildly. But here, Grayscale calculus on Dumpage. And this is what we've been saying for a long time. You know, Sun and Shine last week spoke about equilibrium, because they estimate more than half the fund's remaining assets are stuck in taxable accounts, which means that people will not sell to take a 30% tax hit on capital gains to save 1% delta in fees or 1.5% delta in fees. That was from Ryan Selkis, who's a former executive from DCG. That is their calculus and why they can keep this money grab thing alive and milk it for as long as possible, which I think is shady. Either way, the dumpage looks like this. Now, the good news is the dumpage is staying above that pink trend line, so it is reducing. Equilibrium, I doubt they will ever find, because nobody will put new money into Grayscale. They will pick Fidelity or BlackRock or somebody else. They will not choose this fund. But we are above that average dumpage limit, which is now running at around $168, $190 million dumpage a day. And yesterday was a bad dumpage day. Today, looking at the volumes, it may not be that bad. And a reminder as well, the flippening is coming. BlackRock is going to flip the size of the Grayscale bag pretty soon. BlackRock has come to a bit of a slowdown, but still, It's been a crazy, crazy record. And to give you some perspective from probably the world's top ETF expert, this is Balchunas de Jour. Hey, Eric. So he says, in his summarizing what he's trying to say here is it's typical for new ETF categories to slow down after such a rapid pace, especially with the 12% drop in the past 5 days. But it has been a minor impact. Only $223 million of outflows happened across the 10 ETFs, and that's only 1% of their net inflows since launch, and only 0.4% of their total assets. Now, inflows will continue, he says, despite some downturns. The 9 new ETFs, particularly BlackRock, have experienced inflows totaling $330 million over the last 5 days. So it's not like these things are dead, not by no stretch. And they have broken a record streak of 67 days of positive inflows. And that is very, very good for the whole space. So I hope I tried to summarize that carefully. Now, in other good news, the order book is super, super thin, going up. I put a little red box around where the big sell orders are. In pink, the yellow is the current line price. But if you go all the way up, we don't see major big sell orders until around the $75,000 level. And remember as well, there's a thing called spoofing that exists in markets. These sell orders may not actually be real sell orders. They could be temporary. And that's the way it works in gold markets and other things. People put in a limit, say, oh, I'm going to sell at 75K, and the price goes to 74K, and then they raise the limit to 80K. It just keeps a lid on the market so things don't get too frothy too fast. Now, I always talk about the go bag. We've got the go bag image and everything else. And now, breaking news. Shout out to Sanjay as well for sharing this with me this morning right before I went live. Bitcoin is now, per the IMF, considered a hedge against global uncertainty. And they create a study, and it just suggests that Bitcoin is now being treated more as a risk-off asset rather than a risky one. And they talk about things like economic stability, and the research paper says people are turning to Bitcoin to escape instability in their local economies and currencies, as well as to bypass capital controls. Think of China and Hong Kong and the ETFs, etc. coming in. But this supports Bitcoin's original intent as censorship-resistant money that can offer protection going forward. Now, there are also much higher flows in developing markets. That's alarming. There are friends at the IMF. Of course, they're not our friends, but they are concerned about the activity in places like Argentina and Venezuela. They're also very upset, although they didn't mention El Salvador in the report. They're very upset about how people are leveraging this new magic internet money. Anyway, it was written very well, very fairly, but the point is people need Bitcoin. And as a risk-off asset for their go bag because they're so afraid of their local fiat and they're so afraid of their local governments. Think about that, ladies and gentlemen. Now, speaking of being afraid, we have Jamie Dimon. He says Bitcoin still is a scam, it's a fraud, it's a Ponzi, and he expects the prices to keep falling after the halving. This guy has been begging for Bitcoin prices to fall since 15,000. So anyway, we have to share all the news, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Anyway, Bitcoin black hole time. Let's check out what's happened. Day 67 raw numbers. You can see the orange is pretty orange, but the negative flow, the cumulative negative flow out of all of these puppies was the highest we've had since the 8th of April. No need to freak out, everybody. Not that bad at all. You can see the disappointment, though, on the red line, in particular, BlackRock really peaked day 41, day 42. Since then, it's kind of been taking its time. But again, as Eric Balchunas said, that's normal. Grayscale continues to bleed heavily. Will it stop? The insiders think so. We haven't seen that yet. But once that stops, things will change radically. There will be no supply to keep a lid on price. Oh, by the way, I've got 4 killer charts at the very end of this as well to show you beyond these charts. This is money flow, stays negative, dipping down, not good. Trend is now down as well for all the ETFs. Again, per Eric, That's normal behavior. So we'll see where we go next after the halving. And I am personally very excited to see. We still have 36 billion into the 9 new ETFs. We still have 531,000 in these new ETFs as well. Not bad. And yesterday, 2,691 Bitcoin were added to the system because ARK, I don't know if it's visible here, but ARK had their first dump. Let me see if it shows up in the little green, the very thin green line above the Grayscale thicker green line. That was the ARK dumpage, about 40 million bucks yesterday. Second dumpage, but the biggest one by far. So we'll see if that continues. And again, there's a lot of uncertainty in the world, but the future is going to be bright. Let me explain with some charts. Bitcoin chart time. First of all, this is interesting. We're running sell pressure. This is a chart from CryptoQuant, and it's a bit of an eye chart. So let me walk you through it carefully to make sure you can see. So this basically represents how Bitcoin's selling pressure from traders is gone to zero or definitely declining heavily because unrealized profit margins are now basically zero. And the traders' realized price, which is the pink line, it's a thin pink line, but it's kind of going up. And I've got two green arrows pointing at that pink line. And this has acted support for prices during bull markets. And it's now at around $60,000. This chart is also confluent with my short-term holder cost basis yesterday of 58,500, which we almost wicked down to, and that was the floor. It looks like that was correct. It looks like this one is too. This means the sell pressure will be gone, especially when the black line, which is the Bitcoin price, bounces off the short-term holder realized price. So it's a beautiful little image there as well. And from MartyParty, shout out to MartyParty, friend of the family. It is now, per him, 8.5 months till there is zero Bitcoin. This shows you from CoinGlass the Bitcoin reserves on centralized exchanges. 1.73 million remain, and at the current outflow rate, there is 8.5 months left till zero. Now, I think, in fairness, people get very upset. It's like, where's the supply crunch? In reality, there's 1.73 million Bitcoin now on exchanges. I guarantee you, more than half of that is not for sale. People don't trust their own self-custody, so they keep their Bitcoin on exchanges. That, it means there could be a lot less. And remember, we have 830,000 Bitcoin in the new ETFs. If they want to double their bag before the end of the year, where are they going to get it? We'll see. Check out my miners video later as well. I will add it. Now, this is another interesting observation. I don't know if this is true, but I always say this cycle is very, very different. So if we go back to the 2015, 2016 cycle, bull run, you can see we had a dip. A very nice little pink square box dip. That's the second box in the middle here. If we fast forward to today, maybe that post-halving dip has been brought forward to pre-halving. I'm just guessing here, but either way, we know what happens after the halving. Every single cycle, Bitcoin goes up. My question is, did we have our post-halving dip from the 2015 cycle already? Because everybody's front-running stuff, because there's much more information and knowledge now than ever before. That's what we'll find out over the next couple of days. And I'll be here to tell you if I'm right or wrong. Next, 4 years from now. Shout out to Uncle Fred, chart of the day. Bitcoin in 4 simple data points. And it would be a line if plotted on log over log, but the left axis is log scale. So it looks like the move going from 10 cents to $1, etc. But the next move going from 10,000 to 100,000 and then beyond that gets kind of crazy. Where are we going to go 4 years from now? The first 1 to 2 step was a 54x, then a 13x, then a 7x. I think potentially, because the last cycle was manipulated, we could have a very good cycle this time. Either way, 2.5 to 3x I think is an easy get, but it could be a lot more because this time there is diminishing supply, and it's a bona fide asset class too. So with that, where do we go 4 years from now? It'll be exciting to watch. Either way, it is number go up technology, and these are the past cycles. The next 12 to 18 months will be exciting, and who knows if we get that permanent bid from the ETFs. We'll see. But I tell you, going back to the most important thing at the very beginning, just for that perspective, this 28 million will buy all the supply at the current prices. 28 million sounds like a lot of money, but not in this world that is basically has $900 trillion in assets. If there's any kids watching, do a calculation. Calculate 28 million and divide it by 900 trillion and count the number of zeros after the decimal point before the first number arrives. It's a crazy small number. Thank you all for coming. Hope you like and subscribe, and thank you to the mods in the chat. I'll be back shortly for the Bitcoin miner update, which is kind of exciting. And there's some different things happening as well this mining cycle than previous ones too. Thank you all for coming. Nearly 6,000 people live. Hit the like so we can get the message out.